That right there is proof that even your pum knows that men are trash. I do have PMS from hell and periods from hell. Let it breathe. Let it breathe. Hi guys. Okay, I am here to talk about your nether regions. Obviously, I want to disclaim this by saying I am not a health expert by any means, but after 19 years, I think I know a thing or two. So that's why I'm here today. We are going to talk about down there, so we're gonna have some girl talk. I think it's really important to normalize these conversations about feminine hygiene because it is natural and it happens to all of us, or it will happen to all of us. We need to get over this whole taboo about speaking about these topics, and yeah, that's why I'm here to address some of them. What made me want to make this video is the fact that in retrospect, PSHE was very male sex and sexuality centered. For example, I know we all did that demonstration where we learned how to put on a condom on a dildo with our PSHE teacher, but we never learned how to put on pads or how to use tampons. So for me, that showed that there's an assumption in the education system that girls just know what to do, or that they expect that their parents will talk through these things with them. But some people don't know these things, and for some people their parents won't go through these things with them, and that was the whole point of PSHE, to address things in class and in school that weren't being addressed at home. So for me, it kind of defeated the purpose. One other thing that made me want to make this video is that I remember last time I was like going through some serious PMS, and I was telling my 19-year-old male friends about PMS, and they didn't know what PMS meant, and I was shook. So I thought this video shouldn't just be aimed at girls or having girl talk, but should be aimed at educating all. So that's why I'm here today, like an older sister figure to you, to talk about some of the things that other people don't want to talk about, basically. So the first thing we're going to talk about in general is vaginas. Yes, I said it, guys. I said that word, vaginas, and we can say it too. On three, 1, 2, 3. Vagina. Some of us have them and they're a part of the anatomy, and I will leave some links in the description box below with some extra information, or like the relevant sources that I got some of the information I'm going to use this video from, if you guys just want to read more and check that out, because this kind of just will skim the surface of this whole conversation. So I'm just going to go through some facts about the vagina. The first thing I want to say is that the vagina cleans itself. Yes, the vagina, as in the actual vagina, not the mons pubis, not the labia minora or labia majora. The vagina cleans itself. Every once in a while, before or after your period, you might notice some white discharge that can be odorless, sticky, pale, or clear, and this is your vagina cleaning itself. But if the discharge is yellow or green or has a funky smell, or you're itchy, then it could be a sign of an infection. The point of me saying all this is that you shouldn't be putting soap up there or cleaning it up there. Let it clean itself, because that's what it does. Aren't our bodies amazing? Like, do you not think about how amazing that is, that we literally have a self-cleaning component of our body? The next thing I wanted to address is pH. pH refers to the vagina's acidic levels. The indication that you have a good balance of bacteria is a pH level between 3.5 and 4.5. So that means that there is a perfect amount of good bacteria in your vagina. But there can be an overgrowth of this bacteria. So things that can affect your pH level range from your diet, your period, or where you are in your cycle, like ovulation time, and tampons, your soaps, pregnancy, sex, and hormones. In the past, I've used Vagisil's wash and Fresh's wash, and I just got this wash because it's more delicate and less irritating, and I figured that I can't wash with soap down there because it will just get irritated, so I stopped doing that and had to invest in a wash. that is the pH and the vagina covered. There are lots of other things that we can touch on and talk about, but this isn't a biology lesson. So the next thing I'm going to touch upon is, why does it smell down there? Girls, every vagina has its own smell and that cannot be changed, but sometimes an odor that is different from your usual odor can be a sign of an infection. And an infection doesn't always mean that you have an STI. An infection literally can be naturally occurring, and people that don't even have sexual intercourse can get infections. One reason that your vagina may smell is because of BV, which is an infection caused when your pH is unbalanced. So it's the most common cause of unusual vaginal discharge. Vaginal or vaginal? It's the most common cause of discharge that does have an odor, and occurs, like I said, when something in the environment of your vagina changes, so the pH level is affected. It isn't a sexually transmitted condition or infection, but it can occur after you have sex. So men don't get bacterial vaginosis, only women do, but I'm gonna just list through some of the possible causes.
It can be you're using medicated soaps or perfumed soaps or bubble baths or shower gels down there. You might have put antiseptic liquid in the bath. You might be using vaginal or vaginal deodorants, and you might be using strong detergents to wash your underwear.
A good product for BV is called Multigen Actigel, and it works wonders. So if you find that it is kind of infection related, you can try that product, which you can get over the counter. And of course, not all odors are caused by infection, so you might not have bacterial vaginosis, but it might still smell a bit iffy down there. So another cause, or an alternate cause of that, is that you're not letting it breathe. You need to let it breathe. I mean that you need to stop wearing tight and restrictive clothes or jeans or pants or whatever it is. So one alternative might be that you can sleep without pants on, if that is applicable to you, if you are able to do that, to just let it breathe. And another alternative is to make sure that you wear cotton underwear, and I'll leave the benefits of wearing cotton underwear as opposed to different types of underwear in the description bar below, so you can read more about that. And also, after you go to the gym, or you have had a long day of walking around, or anything is centered around those kind of stuff, if you have had a build up of sweat, that can obviously then cause it to smell a bit down there. And one tip I would give is that I carry around Femme Fresh wipes, so they're vagina wipes, so if you need them like on the go, just to keep everything clean. If you find that it's not infection related, then you just need to let it breathe. Now I'm going to address, why is it itchy down there? An itchy or irritated vagina is actually a common symptom of thrush. So thrush is an infection caused by yeast fungus. It isn't a STI, but again, it can sometimes develop after you have sex. So it can develop on both male and female genitals. And again, it's a very common cause of unusual vaginal discharge or vaginal irritation and itching. So just to read out the facts, 3 out of 4 women will have thrush at some point in their lives. And you don't have to be sexually active to get it. Some of the things that can help, like maybe heighten your chances of encountering thrush, are
being pregnant, wearing tight clothing such as tight jeans, or synthetic clothing such as nylon underwear that prevents ventilation. Maybe you're taking antibiotics, other illnesses that weaken your immune system, or that you're using products that may cause irritation of the vagina, such as deodorants or perfumed bubble baths and shower gels.
And again, it's just about keeping down there fresh and clean so that you can help to restore your pH level and just keep everything balanced. Again, there are many over-the-counter options to deal with this. So for thrush, the Canston products are probably your best bet, and you can get them over the counter at most places. And if you find that itching isn't kind of infection or thrush related, then you can use the Vagisil cream. which is just for general itching relief, but it isn't used to treat infections. So make sure you know the difference between infection and kind of just general itchiness down there. I like to keep all these products at just at bay, just in case. You never know. So now this is for my 16 plus viewers, because we're gonna start talking about sex. So I literally say heterosexual sex is the gateway to infections. Although you can still get infections like the ones I've just mentioned whilst not being sexually active, being sexually active just increases kind of the likelihood of you getting these kind of infections. Just the fact that it literally simply entering can alter the balance of everything down there. That right there is proof that even your pim knows that men are trash. Having sex can also increase the likelihood of things like UTIs. It can be that anything can set off your pH level to be unbalanced. So it can literally be the condom or a penis like entering inside of you. Irritation can be caused from the condom, or from sensitivity, or from the semen, which can alter your pH level. I'm not sure about female intercourse, but I guess the same rule applies in that no matter who your partner is, if they are going to put their fingers down there, make sure the hands are washed, because obviously you don't know what they've been touching, so you don't know what can go and alter the mood or the milieu down there, and then can make you have a yeast infection or a bacterial infection. So just make sure that people are washing their hands before you let them go down there. In terms of it smiling down there and being itchy down there, and it not being related to just kind of day-to-day lifestyle habits, but it being related to you having intercourse, there is obviously that risk of these being symptoms of STIs. And in that case, if you are being sexually active, just make sure that you're also being sexually proactive and getting checked out regularly, please, because you never know what is wrong down there. And for some STIs, there aren't always symptoms, so you just want to make sure that you're getting checked out regularly. Just to kind of summarize everything I went through, having sex, even if you don't get an STI, can still alter the environment down there, or having, I don't know, someone's fingers down there or whatever. So you just want to make sure that you know that in the back of your mind, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you have an STI, and it might just mean that you have a bacterial infection or a yeast infection. But also to be precautionary at the fact that having sex can make you at risk of STIs, and these symptoms, you may be thinking, oh, it's just a bacterial infection, let me clear it up, and it might be a symptom of gonorrhea. So you just need to go and get checked, and just be proactive about your sexual health. Shaving and waxing. So my pain is ingrown hairs, and if you have to deal with ingrown hairs, here are some tips about how to maybe avoid that. They can be very common with women that have coarse hair texture because of the way that your hair is growing and the direction it's growing in. So obviously it's a pain. Shave with the grain and not against the grain, so that when it's growing back, it doesn't grow back kind of doing acrobatics. And another suggestion would be to, again, if you have shaved, perhaps try and avoid wearing tight and restrictive clothing. Let it breathe again, so that there's nothing causing irritation against your mons pubis while the hair is growing back, and then you'll avoid the likelihood of getting lots of ingrown hairs. And lastly, it's just about, when you do shave, just keep that area moisturized. So I just like to use Vaseline to keep it moisturized. PMS and periods, because even I need some advice about this stuff, because it is stressful. Premenstrual syndrome is basically what it says on the tin. It's premenstrual syndrome. It's kind of what happens to you before your period is going to happen. So this is my experience with PMS. I eat a lot and I crave a lot of things, and I just notice such a sharp rise in the amount I'm eating. I get backaches, really bad backaches, and I already have chronic back pain, and then to put PMS symptoms or period pain, back pains on top of that is just disgusting. I get cramps a lot of the time, so maybe about the week before my period I start to get cramps as if I'm on my period, and then I can tell that okay, my period is going to start in about a week. I have spoken about it with other girls, and I don't know why we don't talk about these things, but I do have a very high libido sometimes. I get like an ache in my chest, like at the top of my breasts over here, like they just start getting very achy. So from month to month it changes, the severity of each of these things changes, and I can always tell it's about to come because my peeing just goes weird. But anyway, I think my most severe symptom of PMS is dealing with the hormones and the mood changes. So I literally, every time before my period comes, I start crying at useless things, or I just get really like severely depressed, and it's really strange. And I have been like looking for ways to deal with it, because it's obviously not fun to be like very emotionally sensitive at that period of time. And I don't know, my hormones just literally go all over the place, so I get very sensitive and very like down when I am experiencing PMS. And PMS can affect us all differently, and no girl has the same PMS as a different girl, just like no girl has a period the same period as another girl. So I started my period when I was literally in year 5, I believe, so I don't know how old I was. I was very young for most of my periods. My periods occur quite regularly every month, but my periods are very heavy flow. My cramps are disgusting, as in like sometimes if I've made plans I have to cancel the plans and sit in my bed, and what I like to do is just lay on my back and go to sleep. Like that's for me one of the solutions as to dealing with my period. Nausea is really bad for me on my period, especially when I see stuff like eggs or oil, like really oily food. That can make me feel so sick, so I try to avoid those. And the last thing is the vomiting. This has happened to me like not all of my cycles, but for a lot of cycles I start to vomit, and I start to vomit blood. So I remember this happening at school a lot, where I'd have to run to the toilet and vomit, and I'd vomit my own blood. It was when I was in the Fenty Beauty queue, and you know how long that queue was. I went to Harvey Nichols, London, and I was determined to get my hands on Fenty. This shows that I am loyal. But anyway, in the queue, I had just started my period the day before, and in the queue I started to feel ill, and literally I had to run to the toilet about 6 times, running and holding in my vomit until I got to the toilet, and going to sleep and lying down and taking ibuprofen. But sometimes I like to just ride it out, and I don't take medication, and I try to avoid taking medication where I can. That's kind of some of the ways that I deal with PMS and period cramps. But another alternative which people are always mentioning to me is going on birth control, because that can lessen the severity of the periods. But I'm still, I think contraception and birth control and that's a whole different topic for me to address, because I'm still a bit undecided about that, and there are things to weigh up with that. If you do know ways to deal with periods, please holler at your girl, because I need help. What a video. I hope that was useful to someone. I really hope it is, because I think this is stuff like we all go through, or we will all go through. Yeah, let's have girl talk more often, guys. That was so fun, and I really hope that you found that useful, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.